go ahead and get your calls in, man. Our guest will be here in about 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and jump in. Let's just start with Brian Burns, and then we'll move on to Bryce Young. Brian Burns reportedly, well, actually not reportedly, you all know this, is Brian Burns is looking for a contract extension. No new news there. The Carolina Panthers have really made him a big part of this defensive plan. Brian Burns has really been an important part of this team for quite some time now. They really pivoted to him being an early face of the franchise. And honestly, I was a little surprised when they put so much of that emphasis of him and the spider pose and busting out the black on black uniforms and just kind of making him the face of the franchise in spite of the difficulties facing this team at the moment and over the past few years. Are honestly surprised they didn't get this done a little earlier, and really, frankly, disappointed because for every day you wait, the price goes up. The Carolina Panthers, though, have been reportedly in negotiations with Brian Burns in talks, and they want to make this happen. Some people are saying that this deal would look or surpass $110 million. Excuse me. Bradley Chubb signed after he was traded to Miami. And many people say this is that's like kind of lowball there, that we're talking Myles Garrett, $25 million a year money. So at the end, at any rate, Brian Burns is going to get paid by the Carolina Panthers. And I honestly don't think they have a choice, Cody.
Oh, they definitely don't have a choice. Brian Burns and his agency group have all the leverage they want. And I don't know what world Panther fans were thinking that we lived in where we were going to get some kind of good deal for Brian Burns. Like, listen, the Panthers have no pass rush help outside of Brian Burns. He is literally our only established pass rusher. And you're not going to pay him the money that he wants. More importantly, look how important he is going to our season this year. If Brian Burns at any point decides, nah, I'm going to need that bag right now, and yeah, I want Myles
Imagine
Garrett.
if he sat out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The Panthers now have no choice but to pay Brian Burns the type of money that he wants because we have zero other options. We haven't even brought in any other help besides, at the other defensive end or outside linebacker position yet. No Jadeveon Clowney, no Yannick Ngakoue, no Leonard Floyd. It's so hard to build a good defensive line with competent pass rushers. And it's too late in the ball game for the Panthers to go and sign another one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brian Burns is going to be a top 3 paid defensive end in the NFL, and it's time we swallow that pill now.
It frankly reminds me a little bit, Greg, of big money Charles Johnson signing that giant contract. And while Charles Johnson was a very good player and played for a long time for the Carolina Panthers and earned every dollar of the big money contract, he was able to secure that big bag there at the time because Julius Peppers said, man, I don't want to be here no more. Mm-hmm. And the Carolina Panthers found themselves with one guy who was that they could kind of count on. And now Brian Burns, like Cody said, has the leverage here.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Brian Burns has all the leverage. And while I've had my comments about Brian Burns, like he was the king of almost type deals, what I called him for a long time, 12 and a half sacks last year. Pretty good on a team that wasn't bad. And you actually brought up Bradley Chubb, and just comparing those two, Bradley Chubb in 57 games has 28 sacks, and Brian Burns in 64 has 38 sacks. So
Chubb has had a lot of
7 more games and 10 more sacks.
Yeah, Chubb has had injury issues. Brian Burns has not, right? So Brian Burns has always dealt with injuries. He's always had some sort of minor stuff, but has been found a way to be available.
Yeah,
for the Carolina Panthers. So I think the only reason Bradley Chubb's name just garners a little bit more national attention because of the draft hype around him when he came out. Brian Burns is every bit more of an accomplished and better player and deserving of that money. CK, my argument here is that this is why you try to, if you know that these guys are part of your future plans, that you try to get these things done. If we would have done this last year, right? I mean, really, what would this have changed? The only thing would have changed is that you would have gotten ahead of some of the natural inflation of these things.
Well, the only problem with that thought is we had a different person potentially running the show in the background.
Yeah.
You know, Brian Burns wasn't a Matt Rule drafted player.
True.
And after we let Hassan Reddick go, we left him on an island to try to run this defensive line as the only pass rusher in the entire team. And he, even with him being that much of a focus, the dude still pulled out 12 sacks. I don't know that there's many other teams out there or many other players out there that would be able to garner every ounce of attention from from an offensive line, all the double teams, all the little chips from the running backs and tight ends coming off the line, and still come away with double-digit sacks in the year. Yeah, I don't think that he would have had any benefit. I don't think he would have had any luck, or we wouldn't have had any luck getting a cheaper contract, because he knew he was the only one on the team in the middle of the season or in the off season last year.